have to listen to it virtually. Josh is.
I always cheer. That one scares me.
This is what you're going to give me?
Because it scares me because it's hot. Where am I sitting? You want me to sit here?
Yeah, not too far.
Okay.
You have those.
I have this. I wanted your spot. I did. This. So nice. But because I know you, you're going to tell me why. Too late. No te conozco. No. Maybe you should just sit it because then I put it in your mouth. Whatever. I know what it is.
So this is the way we did the so it's a 3-pager? Yeah. Take that out and then make probably like 20 copies in case anybody comes.
Okay. You got it. Oh, you're going to get that list requested right now.
So I told you what Ashley and I are going to dress up.
Let's call this meeting to order. It's our second budget hearing today, September 22nd. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Good evening. Councilmember Alvarez.
Present.
Councilmember Dieguez. Here. Present. Councilmember Fernandez.
Present.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Present.
Councilmember Ruano.
Present.
Vice Mayor Collazo.
Present.
Mayor Sid.
Present.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's all rise for the prayer led by Councilwoman Marilyn Ruano.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Heavenly Father, please help us, guide us this evening to make the appropriate decisions to benefit our town and their residents. And I'd like to take a moment of silence for all of those that are suffering this evening. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Let's remain standing for the pledge led by our Deputy Clerk, Ashley Covilla. You may be seated. Order of business, deferrals, deletions. I'm sure there's none, so we'll move on from. Is there any a motion to adopt the order of business?
I'll move the order of business. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. We are on to public comments. Madam Clerk, this is your realm.
Public comments will be heard at the beginning of each meeting, and once all are heard, public comments will be closed. All comments or questions from the attending public shall be directed to the mayor in a courteous tone. To ensure the orderly conduct and efficiency of this meeting, public comments shall be limited to 3 minutes maximum per person. No clapping, applauding, heckling, verbal outbursts in support of or in opposition to a speaker or his/her remarks shall be permitted. Should a member of the attending audience become unruly or behave in any manner that disrupts the orderly and efficient conduct of this meeting, such person will be asked to leave the meeting. And as a courtesy to others, all electronic devices must be set to silent mode to avoid the disruption of the proceedings. So I see from my screen that we have one participant virtual, Ms. Nikki Schoen. And again, I open public comments. Anyone in the attending audience who wants to speak, please do so now. Just approach the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, I see that there's chairs of committees here, and I don't know if the council, I don't know if they're going to be presenting to us. Because I think there's 3 of them, and I don't know if they want to go over their parts of their budgets or changes.
Are you here for public comments, Ms. Rogers, or on behalf of the committee?
I can do one or the other. I just wanted to make a comment in regard to the budget for the Public Safety Committee. So if it's advisable that I wait until then, I will do so.
Yeah, let's wait, and we'll bring you up in that when we talk about committee budgets. So yeah, if you guys, whoever's here for a committee, if you don't mind, so then that way we can go back and forth and allow the public to participate.
Thank you, and I promise one of these days I'll learn protocol.
Thank you, Mama Nance.
Again, anyone wish? Okay. Thank you.
Martha Mendez, 7,000 Glen Eagle Drive. I would like one of you to remove the franchise fee. That's just for openers. It can't go without pointing it out. And the other thing I would like for you to roll back, and the rollback would incur another $286,000. I went through the paper here. The paper was full of notices, and it seems that every city in the county is increasing their ad valorums. Except City of Miami, they're increasing it 16%, and Sunny Isles, 7%, Surfside, 10%, Bal Harbor, 9%. So it seems to be the issue with councils or commissioners, whatever they're called in these cities. It's to raise the millage. We are receiving an additional 4%, and you're raising my millage. Well, you're keeping it the same. This is the fallacy that you sell to people who don't know what's going on. You tell them we're keeping it the same. Look how nice we are. We're conservatives. We save you money. No, you don't. You spend it. And I would like a rollback rate. I don't want to see an increase. I am still under the auspices of the federal government, another $3.5 trillion. I cannot afford another increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Mita.
Good evening. Claudia Luces, 8220 Menteith Terrace. On the budget, excuse me, it's allergies, not COVID, okay? As I look at the budget, okay, I see something that particularly pops out at me, and that's an increase in maintenance fees, particularly for the parks. Since there's been a lot of conversation about the parks, okay, we sometimes don't have the conversation on the maintenance of the parks. So looking at, and I'm just going to point out which is the largest and most expensive park to maintain, the Optimist. There's going to be an increase in janitorial services to the tune of $21,000. Then we have telephone service, $1,835. Do the kids use a phone? Just wondering what that is. We have utilities. Utilities are going up $15,000. Then we have a couple of maintenance issues there. The point I'm trying to make, and Mita just made it as well, apparently, you know, while the rest of the nation, people who live, single families, single mothers, seniors, everybody has had to tighten down, okay, the hatches, except for government. The federal government has gone crazy, and it seems that local governments are doing the same, going on a spending spree. And who funds everything? The taxpayers do, the ones that are having to batten down the hatches. So when you guys discuss the budget today, I hope that you pay particular attention to that, and there's an open and transparent discussion on why these increases, in particular to Optimist Park, are happening, since we're having such a spirited discussion about the park these days. And in addition to that, you really take a good look at the fact that there are some things that are in this budget that are just not necessary. Again, the only people that are spending money like they have a blank check right now are governments, whether you're federal, whether you're county, or whether you're local. So please don't join that group. Be mindful of the people that you represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia.
Is it okay if I chime in now?
Yes, absolutely.
Just your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Nikki Shane, 6470 Main Street. I am representing a group of people that actually is interested in having more budget allocations for the park, specifically at Canine Cove. We've noticed a few maintenance issues. My dog recently escaped out of a hole through one of the fences. So just small repairs like that. I also have a petition right now to get more benches added to the park There's constantly people at that park that are sitting on the sidewalk, standing around. It's not comfortable. And I would say now is as good a time as any, while especially children's activities have been restricted because of COVID. Something like a park is an outdoor safe place for kids to play. So I think it's a great time to invest in those maintenance issues. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, I don't see more participants for public comments.
Got anyone else for public comments? If not, we will be closing public comments at this moment. Public comments is officially closed. We are moving on to the next item. We don't have any appointments. We don't have committee reports. We're moving on to the consent calendar.
I'll move to adopt the consent calendar.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. There are no ordinances in first reading. There are ordinances in second reading, which are a public hearing. Item 12A, Mr. Attorney. An ordinance of the Town of Miami Lakes, Florida, adopting the millage rate of the Town of Miami Lakes for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022, pursuant to Section 200.065 Florida statutes, providing for directions, the tax collector, providing for notice, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Mr. Manager. I got your back, Mr. Attorney. Don't worry.
Thank you very much. I'd like to read the budget statement in for the record. The proposed millage rate for the Town of Miami Lakes fiscal year 2021-22 is 2.3127. This rate is the same as the current year. The gross taxable value for operating purposes is $3,767,371,567. The proposed millage rate will generate $8,277,160 in ad valorem revenue budgeted at 95%. Collection rate. The proposed millage rate of 2.3127 is 4.33% above the rollback rate of 2.2168.
This is a public hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on the millage rate? Anyone from the public wishing to speak on item 12A? Going once, going twice, 12A. The public hearing on 12A is closed. Are any motions from the council to begin any discussion? Any motions?
I'll move the current millage.
I'll second.
Discussion, council on the current millage. Discussion, council on the current millage. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Item 12A, ordinance in first reading. Councilmember Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruano.
Yes.
Councilmember Dieguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Collazo.
Yes.
Mayor Sid.
Yes.
The ordinance in second reading, 12A, passes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're on to the next item, which is also an ordinance in second reading, which is a public hearing, which is item 12B. Mr. Attorney.
An ordinance of the Town of Miami Lakes, Florida, approving and adopting the budget for the Town of Miami Lakes for fiscal year 2021-2022, providing for expenditure of funds, providing for amendments, providing for carryover of funds, providing for the incorporation of the adopted capital budget as the capital improvement element of the comprehensive plan, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. Mr. Manager.
Yes, what you have before you is the budget that came out from the first budget hearing. There was only one item that was actually acted on at the first budget hearing, which was the senior citizen rebate. The dollar amount of the rebate is different than what we originally thought, so we've made some adjustments to account for that. The amount of the rebate would be $72,000. I believe that the original number that was being considered was somewhere in the neighborhood of $45,000 to $50,000. So to fund that, what we've done is we've taken a portion of the money from the new town website. We believe that the website will still be able to be developed with the new number. And if there is any amount that is required to finish the project, we believe that by the time this gets up and running and going, that we'll be able to fund the balance. We'll make the request in next year's budget. So the amount of the senior citizen rebate is $72,000 that this council acted on at the first hearing. The only other item that I want to bring to your attention is the Fpnl franchise fee. If you remember at the first budget hearing, the item was deferred to the council meeting. So the actual approval for the budget was done with the Fpnl franchise fee in it. That's why we had to present it to you in its original form as it was approved at the first hearing. So what I think would be in order would be based on the fact that at the council meeting, this council elected not to increase the Fpnl franchise fee, which was the companion item to this issue, would be for somebody to make a motion to amend this budget to remove the Fpnl franchise fee of $900,000 from both the revenue and the expense side, and it'll be a wash, and then this budget will be whole.
Thank you. Let's
Like to make that motion. if
let's
possible.
create a main motion so we can work off of, if we can,
I'll move to adopt the
budget.
budget.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, Vice Mayor.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion removing $900,000 associated with the franchise fee at 6%.
I'll second that.
Discussion on this, Councilman Rodriguez, I know you're at home, so just put up your hand if, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
There's a one no vote, Madam Clerk.
Tony.
Councilman Fernandez. The motion passes. All right, so we're back onto the main motion as amended. Council, you can all just jump in. I'm sure Councilman Dieguez has about 25 amendments, so he'll probably take 5 now, 5 later.
Mayor, if I could make one more point just before you begin your debate. In this current budget, I want to be clear that also no action was taken at the first hearing with regard to what we were proposing as a adjustment to staff wages. So what you have in here is the 2.8% COLA with a 1% average bonus, lump sum bonus. So what I have before you here, I've presented for you some different options. I know that discussion's been had about COLA. We also have the idea of a merit pay increase, and we have the bonus. So what I've done is present to you, I define them just to make sure that we are both on the same page. When you vote on something, that it's something that that you understand what I'm proposing. So on here you have the original amount, which was the COLA by itself. Then the first schedule, you have a COLA plus a merit increase, which is based on, it's an addition, an increase to the wage that is pensionable. The column in green is the amount that would impact the budget. The second one is a COLA with a bonus, not a wage increase, merit increase. It's a bonus. The line that you see in yellow, that is the amount that is currently in the proposed budget. So that's your starting point, and any changes from that, I presented you several options for you to consider.
Thank you. Any discussion on any items, council? Just jump in.
Do you have a recommended set amount for the bonus?
Well, our original recommendation was a 2.8% COLA, and then a range of bonus ranging from 0 to 1.5. For budgeting purposes, we believe that it'll average out to approximately a 1%, and that's how we calculated the impact there in yellow. So that's our recommendation, and that was our recommendation at the first budget hearing.
And just so I'm clear, it's your proposal is a COLA with the merit-based pay or the COLA with a bonus?
Correct. What's in the budget now is a COLA of 2.8 with a lump sum bonus. That would be paid in one lump sum to employees, and that rate would be somewhere between 0 and 1.5 it's performance-based, so it's based on evaluations.
Have you considered making it a union of both? I mean, I do feel that employees should be compensated and have salary increases, but I also feel it should be based on their performance. So not a COLA, but a merit-based, performance-based pay increase based on the rubric that you provided below, the below average, satisfactory, above average, and exceptional. And then that can be just based on a percentage to their base salary increase.
Well, if you look at, in this document that I provided you on the dais, the first schedule that says COLA plus merit increase, that there would contemplate a performance-based merit increase. So if you look at the first line on that, it's 0 across the board COLA and a merit increase of an average of about 3.8, which is, it would range between 0 and 5.75 based on the performance evaluation.
Right, but everyone's getting well, your recommendation is everyone is getting a 2.8, and then plus the 2.8, based on your evaluation, you'll add that point something, and that'll be your total.
No, it wouldn't be a COLA. It depends. It depends which of these options the council prefers. The first schedule would be an addition to the percent. In other words, it would be, like for instance, let's just take the option on the top, the schedule on the top. If you go down and find the number on the left-hand column, let's say 2.5. So that would be an across-the-board COLA for everybody of 2.5, and then based on an employee's evaluation, they could earn up to another a merit increase that would be another percentage onto their wage of up to 1.97. So it would go from 0 up to 1.97. That is what that schedule reflects. And it's better defined up in the top where I put the 3 definitions of exactly how it would work. The second schedule, which is just below that, that says COLA plus bonus. I printed this in such small writing and I'm killing myself with the size of the font. COLA plus bonus, that one would work differently. That one would not be, because the first schedule there, it would just be an increase to the employee's wage, right? Some of it would be across the board, some of it would be based on the evaluation. And then they would get two bumps in their wage. The bottom schedule there, it would be different. It would be a bonus, not a merit pay increase. So it would be a bonus, still based on performance, but it would be a lump sum amount. It'd be paid one time, probably somewhere between now and the end of the calendar year. Our hope was to pay it before the holiday season, and that's what was our original proposal, and that one would be different. That one would not be an increase into the base wage. It would just be a lump sum. That extra bonus would not be pensionable, so it wouldn't have the impact of FRS. The one where it says COLA plus merit increase, that one would be a wage increase and would be the same as any other wage increase. It'd be, FRS and everything else would apply to it.
So the COLA and the merit would be an increase to their base salary, as opposed to the COLA and the bonus would be either a one-time lump sum, like a stipend, where they...
It would be a combination. Part of it would be a wage increase. The percentage under the COLA column would be a percentage increase. And then the portion where it says bonus, that percentage would just be a lump sum payment.
Have we considered the staff increase only being based on merit pay, only based on performance and evaluation tool?
Well,
and
you have one of these options reflects that, because if you look at, I think it's what I said a moment ago, the top schedule where it says merit plus, COLA plus merit, if you look at the column, the very top line that says 0 COLA, all of it is in merit. So all of it would be based on an employee's evaluation.
Right, I guess that's the part that confuses me, because on the header and the title says COLA plus merit, so it kind of seems like you're getting the COLA.
Yeah, but
you may be everyone's eligible for the COLA, and then based on your evaluation. What my question is that have you considered amending this to making it just a performance pay increase, no COLA, based on following the same rubric that you have, where you would meet with your employees, you have it could be either a self-reflective practice or also some things that you've observed that you want to provide feedback to the employee, you know, kind of with the concept of the continuous improvement model where, you know, the employee has certain strengths, but these are some opportunities for growth or maybe some goal-setting activities where they can shoot towards that. So when they get evaluated next year, these are my goals. This is what I'm shooting for to improve in. So when I come back to Mr. Peterman in my evaluation the following year, we can have a discussion to see if I've addressed these opportunities for improvement that he's shared with me.
Yeah, and I'll go back. If the top line under COLA plus merit increase is exactly what you're describing, because it is 0% COLA and a merit increase from 0 to 5.75 based on the evaluation, and we estimate that the average will be somewhere in that first. So for budget purposes, we're recommending to budget for an average of 3.8%. So what you're describing is the first line of that top schedule that says COLA plus merit increase.
Correct. So let's elaborate on that one. Going with that first item, what would be the merit for, well, obviously the below average, it's 0%.
Correct.
What would be the percentage increase on that first line item? If it's 0% COLA, 100% merit, what would be the percentage increase for satisfactory? For above average, so would it be a 3.3? So what would be,
Right.
walk me through what would be the rating for the three categories?
That's what hopefully the schedule at the bottom reflects, which is that the range, if you look at the third column there that says merit range, it's 0 to 5.75. So if you use the table at the bottom, somebody with a satisfactory would have 33% of the maximum bonus. So that would be a 1.9% increase for somebody who's satisfactory. Somebody who's above average would have 2/3 of the maximum range, and somebody who's exceptional would get the entire 5.75.
So satisfactory, and Councilman Morano here, please enlighten me. 1.9, then we would go to 2.8 if you're above average, because it's 2/3 of that. And
Above average, you're at 3,795.
if you're above average, so 1.9 is satisfactory. Above average,
3.795.
is that what you have?
The above average is 3.85.
3.85, and the exceptional
Would be the entire 5.75.
5.75. And based on this, with no COLA, pay per performance, what would be the impact on the budget?
It's at the right-hand column in green. It'd be $186,750. So there'd be a $16,000 amount that we'd have to get, we'd have to find, almost $16,000, that we'd have to make an adjustment in the budget to fund this. So we'd have to, discuss where we were going to get that money from. So one of the options is similar to what we did with the senior rebate, is to take another little nibble at the website, and then we'll fund the balance of that in fiscal 22-23.
What's the minimum amount of months or years years, I know it's 1 year, but what's the minimum amount of time that an employee has to be working for the town of Miami Lakes to be considered or sit in for an evaluation?
It's not stipulated in our policy. My intent was, with our original proposal, to have everybody that was on payroll since January 1 would be eligible for either the bonus or the merit increase. If we have a situation where the COLA is going to be 0 and it's going to be 100% based on merit, I'd have to take a look at that, because if somebody's been here since January 10th, now I'm going to tell them that you're not going to get any raise for another 12 months. I'd have to revisit that. But my original intent was anybody on the payroll since the 1st of January, the first of the calendar year, would be eligible for either the merit or the bonus.
And have you considered anyone 2020 for the evaluation as opposed to January? Like that they've worked for town hall under your leadership for an entire year as opposed to 9 months?
Yeah, I had not. I thought that the 1st of January was clean, and 9 months was enough to have the ability to assess somebody and be able to properly, rate them based on their performance over the last 10 months. Because this would be effective October 1.
Okay. My concern, just in fairness, is that an employee's worked for the town of Miami Lakes for an entire year, and we're evaluating, then we're evaluating someone that's been here since January. I think you got to evaluate and work with that employee for 3 additional months, which would help you. So, just having a discussion. I think I'll make an amendment as I let the rest of my colleagues speak, but I do feel that we should compensate our employees, but we should also, through that self-reflective practice of the evaluation tool, also give them an opportunity for growth and be able to give them feedback. I think you should be working for the town a minimum of a year. I'm fine with October 1st, and I think that the evaluation, I feel that the evaluation should be based on performance, because there are some employees that go above and beyond, and the ones that don't. And I guess like in all of our professions, there's teachers that go above and beyond, and there's teachers that clock out at 2:30 when the bell rings. So, in all fairness to those that are going above and beyond, I think they deserve a merit increase. But I feel that the pay increases for our employees should be based on solely on performance.
Yeah, my only concern is that if, how far back we draw that line, October 1 versus January 1, now that employee that may have been here since October last year, now will be almost 2 years before they'll have any kind of an adjustment. Obviously, later on, it'll be different, but somebody who was here since October of 20, if they, or let's say, that, our local CPI, as everybody knows, was, between 4 and 5%, then that would be a tough position. That's why I wanted to kind of narrow that and say January 1st was a clean thing. It wouldn't be a full 2 years before they were considered, so I didn't want to knock out too many people.
Perhaps we can consider having 2 paradigms, right? One that for someone that's been here at the capacity of a year, and someone that's served from X amount of months or less, but they wouldn't be eligible for the same amount of merit pay increase that someone that has served in the capacity as an employee here for a year. So if I'm an employee and I've been here for a year and I'm above average, I receive the 3.85. But if I'm an employee and I've worked here 6 months, I don't think it's fair either that they should receive, if they're above average, that they should receive a 3.5. So maybe one thing that you can work with staff.
Nobody with 6 months would be getting that. So
9 months.
9 months is where I was drawing the line. Yeah.
So do you think it's? I'm just saying. Do you think it's fair that it should be the same a 9 month as a 1 year?
Well, I believe that 9 months is now somebody who has been here long enough to be able to demonstrate the level of their performance, be able to demonstrate to us their commitment to the town, be able to demonstrate their ability to either be satisfactory, above average, or go above and beyond. So I believe that 9 months is a good enough time to understand what the employee's makeup is.
Okay. Would you consider making that like a different merit pay increase? a different percentage. For example, half of 1.9, half of 3.85, half of 5.75. Just
For
brainstorm.
those extra,
for-
in that 3-month gap there, I'll take a look at it and see, what the impact would be. So, yeah, I mean, I'll consider it, I'll take a look at it.
I think one thing we gotta consider too in employment is the other piece is loyalty to the organization.
Councilman, you want to make a motion already so we can head on with discussion? Because I know,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, if you want to make a motion, we'll head in discussion so we can continue having the dialogue.
Motion to amend the staff member pay increase based on performance and merit.
I'll second it. Discussion.
I had a question.
Councilman Rodriguez.
Mr. Manager, if we go with that, I'm assuming Councilman Alvarez's position is to go with the zero COLA, 100% merit option, which is the top option on the top chart, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you were to do that, I know the level of employees that we have in the town and the number of exceptional employees that I'm sure are gonna receive exceptional marks from you, and above average employees that are gonna receive above average marks from you. How will you adjust if the exceptional employees get 5.75 and the above average employees get 3.795? Am I misreading this to think that you're gonna have to find some employees below average and satisfactory in order to meet your 3.8% average?
We believe that there will be some evaluations. That's why we went with the average, right? We went with that middle of the road because we believe that that's going to be sufficient budget-wise to properly fund this. We know that there'll be some that are going to be satisfactory, and there'll probably be some that'll be below average. So that we believe that bogey, that benchmark of 3.8 will be appropriate for budget purposes to be able to properly fund this.
Right, but am I misinterpreting this to think that you're gonna have to find an equal number amount of employees
No, sir.
below average and satisfactory as above average and exceptional? Because you've averaged this 186,000 that you've averaged as the estimated cost
Correct.
is based on a 3.8 percentage.
Correct.
So, but if we go with a full merit-based system where some employees who rate exceptional receive 5.75, that means you're gonna have to find the same number of employees below average in order to reach your 3.8. If not, it's gonna be off. And then the number is not gonna be 186, it's gonna be higher.
No, I'm not a math major, but I believe that as long as the combined total of below average and satisfactory equal exceptional, they'll offset each other.
And you think that will be the case?
I believe so, yeah. I'm not gonna have the tail wag the dog. I'm not gonna, force that we have to have so many. I'm gonna let the evaluations, speak for themselves. But
Okay,
I believe that,
the evaluations haven't happened yet. So how can we vote on a system what happens if you do not reach that average where the same number of exceptional employees equals the same number of below average or satisfactory employees?
what I could tell you is that I will adjust the percentages. If this budget is approved and the amendment passes and the amount allocated for these increases is 186,750, once the evaluations are complete, if the numbers are out of whack, then I'll adjust the percentages to make sure that we're within budget.
Okay, that was my concern. Thank you.
Discussion, Vice Mayor.
Thank you. I had a similar question to Councilman Rodriguez, so I appreciate him raising the issue of making sure that it was a bell-shaped curve distribution. If not one way or the other, it might offset that number. But now that I know that we're just voting on that final number and then you'll adjust the percentage accordingly, I feel more comfortable with that. With regards to Councilman Alvarez's comments on people who have been here shorter terms, one of the proposals that you could entertain, and I don't know if that's something that we could discuss now, Councilman Alvarez, since it's something you were discussing, was if tenure was less than 12 months, breaking it up 25% into quarters, right? So if they served 9 months, right, they'd get 75% of the allocation of the bonus, because that's commensurate to the time that they served. If they served 6 months, 50%, and maybe is that what you were looking for? Was that?
Yes, sir.
Could that be something that you contemplate, rather than having a firm cutoff date? If somebody's exceptional but's only been with you for 6 months, maybe they can receive 50% of the allocation.
I'll take a look at that and see if that makes sense, and I'll make sure that we stay within the budgeted total amount.
Thank you.
Discussion,
Just
Council,
a point of
Councilman
clarification.
Dieguez, Councilman Ruano, then Councilman Fernandez.
Yeah, point of clarification. I just want to, the motion speaks to the merit-based pay increases, or is it a bonus structure?
The motion is on a merit pay increase.
So the one that increases your base salary if you score a certain amount?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Ruano.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I remember that at the first budget hearing, we discussed the difference between merit pay versus bonuses, and one of the things that was brought up was that bonuses don't increase your base salary, and that they don't cost us pension benefits and so on and so forth. And so I think that for purposes of that, I would like to entertain a bonus rather than merit pay increase. But aside from that, I'm still favoring the COLA increase above the merit pay. And the reason why I say that is because the purpose of the COLA increase is to give our employees the same purchasing power that they had the year before, based on the increase in the cost of living. And so bringing it entirely to a merit-based pay is not something that I'm comfortable with right now. And I understand the manager's explanation. I definitely had the same reservations as Councilmember Rodriguez with regards to how we get these numbers to balance out to what we're budgeting, right? Because we don't know how the evaluations are going to go. I'm of the belief that the vast majority of the employees in this building are exceptional, and so I think that that's where we're going to go. I understand the manager's explanation that he would make those numbers fit. Then we might not end up at the 66 or at the 100%. We might end up at 80 or 85, depending on how many employees were exceptional. I'm more inclined to what the manager proposed, which is a 2.8% COLA, and taking this bonus for a test drive this year at 1%, seeing how that goes, seeing how the evaluations go. I understand where Councilmember Alvarez is coming from with regards to giving the employees an opportunity to grow and giving them feedback on things that they can improve on if they're not exceptional, or if they don't rate that way. But I'm more in favor, for budgeting purposes, I think that I'm more in favor of the proposal that's on the table. I think that it's going to make our lives a little bit simpler, and we can try the bonus. I'm more in favor of the bonus instead of the merit-based pay. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Ruano. Councilman Fernandez.
All right, so let me kind of throw out some ideas that I've had that might, some of which might be a little bit unorthodox, but let's start with the easy one. So I think, and I think the vice mayor was headed in the right direction. I think the idea behind what Councilman Alvarez was asking for can be fixed by just prorating the amount of the increase based on service time, right? 10.5 years is, that's an easy mathematical proration. I don't think we have to get into, steps of quarters, and because then that creates artificial, delineations of you get more if you were here for 6 days, 6 months and a day, rather than, 5 3/4 months. So just prorating whatever the amount of the increases across the board, I think would take care of that. My other preference is, so I'm of the opinion that not all workers and not all work and the nature of their work is not all the same. And so for me, it's easier to tie metrics, specifically metrics that make a difference in the organization, to the directors of the departments and the higher earners than it is for the rank and file, person that answers the phone, right? Metrics for that person are a lot further away from making meaningful change in the organization. So what I would like to see is, I would like to see whatever the median pay is, I would like to see we adopt a formula with a higher COLA and a smaller bonus for the lower earning workers, and a higher bonus, lower COLA for the higher earning workers. And I think we should put, the next point would be to put a ceiling on, so I don't, in line with Councilman Rodriguez and Councilwoman Rano, I don't like we're budgeting based on an average of what we think the performance is going to be. I think we need a hard ceiling. And I think
and the hard ceiling is the green column. The green column is the hard ceiling. So ultimately, remember what we're doing here, we're talking about the actual budget. So ultimately, what you'd be approving in the budget is the money to make these things happen. So the hard ceiling, the line in the sand, is the amount in the green column as a total amount.
So and walk me through this, right? If we look at the first line item of the COLA plus bonus, which is my other inclination, I'm more in favor of bonus over a merit increase. But let's go back to that, right? So if 100% of your workers are exceptional, and you give them all a 5.75% increase, that does not equal 169,602. That I don't need a calculator for that.
And again, we are estimating that there's going to be some spread out of employees throughout the 4 categories. So the number that was used to calculate 169 was the second column, the 3.8. That's the average bonus.
Right, but that's assuming
right. But what I said, my
right.
commitment was, I would adjust the percentages if there's a skewing, right? If there's a skewing of the weighting of employees more towards one category than the other, and it's not fitting budget-wise, I would adjust the percentages to make sure it fits within the approved budgeted amount.
Okay, I mean, that would just then, it would change that whole scale. And then the last thing that I would want to change is the evaluation breakdown of below average 0%, satisfactory 33%. That table I would change, especially if we're doing a combination of COLA and merit or bonus. Satisfactory, to me, no bonus. Satisfactory is satisfactory. You don't get paid extra to perform satisfactorily. The purpose of performance pay is to get paid extra to perform above average or exceptional. So that part I would get rid of. I think below average is 0. I think satisfactory is 0, and then you can change the distribution of above average and exceptional to 50% and 100.
Yeah, and I think that argument has merit at certain levels here. for instance, if it's all bonus or all merit increase, and somebody's satisfactory, it may be difficult to understand, hey, they've done everything we've asked them to do. They've been satisfactory. We've told them to do this, to do their job a certain way, to show up a certain way, and they've done everything we've asked them to do. They may not be that, that above and beyond, working 50, 60 hours a week, so I would find it difficult. So at the lower levels, in other words, the lower levels where they would get zero COLA, and then I'm going to tell them they're going to also get zero bonus. I think there'd be some heartache there. But at the higher levels, I have no problem with the idea.
So what
where the COLA is higher and the bonus or merit increase is lower, I think that's 100% very reasonable what you're proposing.
Excellent. Mayor, would you like to speak before I make an amendment to the motion?
No, go ahead. You guys are having a healthy, thoughtful discussion, so I'll speak in a bit.
All right, so I would like to propose an amendment to the motion that we adopt the 1.9% COLA with 1.9% bonus structure for the employees above the median wage, and then the 2.8% COLA with the 1 point bonus for those below the median income. And I would also lump in there the other changes of prorating the increases based on partial years of service, and removing the 33% of the bonus for satisfactory performance. That is my motion.
I second the motion.
Councilman, just for clarification, when you're talking about the proration, you're talking about those with less than a year, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Got it. I know,
So,
Councilman Alvarez, there's a motion to amend your motion, so.
yeah, Councilmember Dieguez, second. We can discuss.
So, yeah, discussion now, so I don't know.
I just want clarification on this. So on his motion, everyone gets a 1.9 COLA, right? That I got that.
Well, I think he's making a distinction and drawing like the median, right?
Right. Well, yeah. So his motion is that everyone's getting everyone will get a 1.9 COLA with
Everybody above a certain level, a certain pay scale. Everybody below it would get a 2.8 with a 1% bonus. Is that correct, council member?
But you said the bonus. You said a 1.9 COLA and you said a 1.9 bonus, correct?
Right.
So everyone, if I'm understanding this, everyone gets a 1.9. Now the bonus.
Council member, I want you to be sure you understand what he proposed. He's making a distinction between the higher paid employees and the lower paid employees. So he wants to say, draw like the middle of the road. Everybody above the line, so all the higher end employees would get a 1.9% COLA and 1.9% bonus. Everybody below that line would get more COLA and less bonus.
So Councilman Fernandez, in your amendment, your bonus is not based on performance?
No, the bonus is based on performance, and to clarify, it would be up to, so it'd be 1.9% COLA and up to 1.9% bonus.
Up to 1.9.
Up to.
So 1.9 would be equivalent to
the 1.9 in that scale there
is the average.
Is the average. So it would be,
I want to make it a hard ceiling.
Okay. For those higher paid employees?
Yes, sir.
So this is what I'm trying to understand. It's a little confusing to this. So in the prior motion, your top employee here, your exceptional employee, would be eligible on a scoring high on an evaluation, on your evaluation tool, would be eligible for a 5.75% increase. What Councilmember Fernandez is amending to that is that based on this bracket or higher, everyone's getting, that group is getting a 1.9. Now, the difference, so you have 1.9, does it go up to 5.75? And then that would be their bonus? So it's, in other words, your exceptional employee that's on that bracket, would you subtract 1.9 from 5.75, and that would be their bonus based on their evaluation?
No, each one of these lines is a different scenario, so you can't mix and match the scenarios. So the scenario that Councilmember Fernandez is proposing for the higher-end employees would be a COLA of 1.9 and a hard COLA of 1.9 if they're exceptional.
That is correct.
So in his scenario, in his proposal, nobody would be getting a 5.75 bonus.
So the best case, your top employee would get a 3.8% bonus, correct? Is that right?
That is
1.9?
correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
They would get a wage increase of 1.9 and a bonus of 1.9. If
Right.
they're exceptional.
If they're exceptional.
Correct.
I think that's something that, we need to discuss is 3.8%, do we feel as a council that 3.8% is enough for your top employee? I am of the opinion no. I see people here, and I'm here for council meetings, but you can see and you can tell the people that go above and beyond in communication. I do not feel, Councilman Fernandez, that 3.8 is sufficient enough. I agree with you that someone that's satisfactory, they shouldn't get 1.9. I think you should reward your best employees and allocate those percentages to your exceptional and above average. And being in town hall, I would say that your greater percentage of employees are going to fall between exceptional and above average, and those satisfactory ones, they have something to work towards for. I don't feel, and again, with all due respect, I don't feel that 3.8 is enough for the people that are going above and the top of the sky here at Town Hall. I like that. I think it's something more for those individuals. I think 5.75 is something more. So that's why I was kind of is the 1.9 subtracted from the 5.75, which then it would make that employee eligible for another 3, so that your top employee get a 1.9 COLA and a 3.85 bonus, which would equal to 5.75. So that's kind of what I was trying to navigate through is, if your top is 5.75, is your top going to be 5.75 and you make 1.5 and you're the top, then you're eligible for a 3.75 bonus. I think that's something that I would feel more comfortable supporting and entertaining more of a discussion, because I think those employees definitely should be valued based on their evaluation too and their performance. And I think 3.8 is not enough, to be honest. To me, it's not enough.
Got it. So on this motion that was seconded by Councilman Dieguez, Councilman Rodriguez, I know you're at home, I don't want to miss you, but
Yeah.
you got anything on this or no?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Councilman Alvarez. I like the structure of what Councilman Fernandez has proposed. But I think if you're capping it at the 1.9 and at the 1, then if the scenario that the manager just discussed is the case where he's going to find employees that are below average and satisfactory, then we're not really going to reach our green column numbers, because you'll have an imbalance in the number of employees if you cap it. Whereas if it's uncapped, the exceptional employees will pull the curve up towards that average. You understand what I'm saying? So I think everything but for the cap at 1.9 on the bonus, I can stand behind. I think we should stick with that bonus range concept that was laid out in the chart. Because then, like Councilman Alvarez was saying, it gives your exceptional employees a true, reward for their service.
Mr. Mayor, so being that we've heard two council members speak, particularly on that point, would it be prudent to entertain a motion just on that
Yeah,
an amendment
that's fine.
just,
That would
just
be our,
on that portion?
That would be our third amendment, so we're done at that one. So if you want to go ahead and present that.
Well, I think one of,
I can make
Councilman
it.
Rodriguez.
I'll make an amendment to Councilman Fernandez's motion to not have the bonus portion of his structure capped and to stick with the bonus range concept.
I'll second that.
Yeah, Councilman Verano.
Mr. Manager, I totally understand where Councilmember Alvarez is coming from, but correct me if I'm wrong, the total footprint on our budget was based on that 3.8 number. If we are now going to bump it up to 5.75 or have more employees fall in the range of a total bonus and COLA of 5.75, then our cost is going to be significantly higher.
Well, what I said was but I don't know if that's what's on the table. You know, the idea of 575 is not in the current, is not on the table as a current motion or amendment.
Correct, but if there's no cap, right? Because Councilmember Fernandez was requesting a cap, so that we stay within the confines.
I think what he wants, if you look at the schedule, if you look at column 2, where on the bottom chart, where we're talking about bonuses, about the middle line, that's 1.9 COLA, and he wants 1.9 bonus to be the cap. And what I believe that Councilmember Rodriguez is proposing is not to have that cap and just continue with the third column, which is the range of 0 to 2.87. So it'd be the most exceptional employees in that range, so these are the higher wage earners,
Right.
would be a COLA
4.7.
of 1.9.
They
That
get
would be,
4.77.
and then the maximum
bonus
they
of
can get is
2.8.
2.87 would be the maximum bonus that any one of them could receive.
Correct, but that impacts our budget at a higher number.
Well-
Our total impact on the budget then will not be these
Remember
numbers that are in the
that we
green
believe
column.
there's going to be a distribution, there's going to be distribution amongst the different categories of below average, satisfactory, above average, exceptional.
So we are going to keep the green column as a ceiling. I just want to make sure that
Yes.
that's,
Any of the options that you select, the green column, because ultimately, like I said a little while ago, ultimately that's what you're really approving. The rest
Correct.
is semantics and how direction on how you want us to distribute it versus, wage increase versus bonus and so forth. But ultimately, any one of these that is selected, the hard cap, the line in the sand is going to be the green column.
is that
If
green
it-
column. Okay,
if-
so then that 1.9, I'm sorry, the 1.9 COLA and the 1.9 bonus,
It
that
would
1.9 is an
reduce-
average. That number, that's not really a hard number anyways.
Well,
Because
actually,
that's going to depend on
that's what we
how
were,
the performance evaluations come in.
right, we budgeted that as being the average because we figured there'd be a distribution of employees amongst the different categories. So the number in the green column at the end, the total number, is based on an average of 1.9% bonus for employees.
Correct.
So
So
the-
if we
if-
if we move to the third column,
Yes.
and we are, that the second and third columns are basically the same thing.
Well, one
One is just
demonstrates,
averaging.
and one
but-
is the range.
Right, but
Correct.
it's basically the same thing. So this is where I'm confused with Councilmember Rodriguez's suggestion that we go with the 2.87.
Well, I don't think he's doing that. I think he's
Okay.
still stipulating, he's recommending that we continue with the range.
With the
from
range.
0 to 2.87.
Okay, got
And I
it.
don't want to speak for him, but I believe that's what he was proposing.
So,
Yes, that's correct.
Understood. Thank you.
Councilman Rodriguez,
We're on our third motion, so we can
so
maybe start moving on some of these.
Yes.
We can't add any more, so.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear. I think we're getting somewhere in a combination of what we're all talking about. So your motion is there is no bonus for a below average or for a satisfactory employee. Okay? So that's the first part. The second part, your motion also includes a 1.9% COLA for employees and a bonus based on their evaluation performance that ranges anywhere between 1.9% or 3.85, which the 3.85 would give you the combination of 5.75% for your most exceptional employee, since we are eliminating a bonus for a satisfactory employee. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if that number of 3.75 is accurate, because when I did the math now we're talking about Councilmember Fernandez's motion for above median wage earners, right? So we're at 1.9 for those employees. We're at 1.9 COLA, and then a range between 0, which is what below average and satisfactory employees would get, and 2.87, which an employee who rates above average would get 1.9, and then an employee that rates exceptional would get the 2.875, or 2.87, I'm sorry. So according to my math, the most an exceptional employee who is an above median wage earner could get is 4.77. Mr. Manager, is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
So all I did to Councilmember Fernandez's motion is to remove the cap at 1.9, because the manager has told us that there will be employees that receive below average or satisfactory remarks. And based on Councilmember Fernandez's motion, below average and satisfactory gets you 0. Above average gets you the 1.9, and exceptional gets you the full 2.87 in your bonus.
Any further discussion on this motion, Councilman Alvarez?
Last one. So Councilman Rodriguez, so your top employee here would get 4.7%.
Well, based on the chart,
Based on
the chart that was given, yeah, it looks like the averages, because remember, we like Councilwoman Ruano said, we have to stick to that top max number of 171 in this case, which is another point that I think we need to flush out regarding Councilmember Fernandez's split up structure. Because if you look at the split structure between the 1.9 COLA scenario and the 2.8 COLA scenario, there's a slight difference. It's not a huge number, but there is a difference of, $800, something like that, or $600. So we just gotta, we're probably gonna but we're gonna probably get on a budgeted, for budgeting purposes, we're gonna have the number be 171,213, because we're going with the COLA bonus structure. And then he would split that between above median earners and below median earners. So you'd probably have somewhere where the above median earners would get 85,600, below median earners would get 85,600, and then you split it up based on their rating according to the manager's evaluation.
Got it. Any further discussion on this? Councilman Alvarez? No, none. All right. On the amendment, in theory, this is a strike-all amendment because it changes the other two amendments. So we would be back onto the main motion if this were to pass. So, because the other two would be moot points. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. We're back on to the main budget amendment, right, Councilman Dieguez? Any other motions on the table?
Just debate.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just to put my thoughts on the record, I'm going to be supporting the item in its final form. I want to thank the manager for providing the comparison that I had requested. Based on my reading of what's been provided, it does seem as if we're not too far off from many of the other municipalities that are not only similar in size, but in terms of scope of work, So I think what we've done between the amendments from Councilmember Rodriguez, Councilman Alvarez, and Councilman Fernandez, I think they've hit a balance that I can live with between a COLA and a bonus structure that I think will get the job done. So I'm going to be in support, And again, just wanted to thank the manager again for getting us this chart that I think for me was instructive and helped change my mind.
Any further discussion on this, council? Any further discussion? I haven't had a chance to speak, but I do appreciate the thoughtfulness from the council on this. I think everybody saw my frustration at the last budget hearing and at the budget workshop. I don't appreciate things being put on the agenda and becoming, you know, kind of pitting us sometimes against staff or vice versa. It kind of, I wasn't too happy, and I really felt that it was not thoughtful. I do miss an era here in our town where our manager would, when it comes to big ticket items like this, would call and ask for our opinions and take our opinions into the decision-making process. And this is one that I really showed how frustrated I was, and the amount of employees that spoke to me afterwards and shared their thoughts with me. I really appreciated that, because that helped me. I'm 100% in favor of this, because I think this is a product that you see the days. You see the talent on our council. You have everybody up here manages employees. Councilman, the Vice Mayor does, Councilman Morano, Councilman Dieguez, myself, Councilman Fernandez, but specifically Councilman Fernandez and Councilman Alvarez have manage organizations larger than our town. So I think that perspective is really important. So I'm 100% in favor of this, and I really appreciate my colleagues, because it seems like everybody has their fingerprints on this. And what I heard from our employees was that the only thing I was going to mention was one feedback that I did get from some folks who are like, hey, look, we have employees that have been here for a long time, and they are at the head of their, they don't have any more space within what their range is for their job. And this means these types of increases and bonuses mean a lot to those folks. We have maybe 10 employees this year that, in theory, really shouldn't be in here, because they got major raises. They got changed in positions, and they got really large raises. So I know for a fact that a lot of those employees can live without this, but I know 100% there are folks that are in this organization, that love this organization, that are loyal, and I know how much this means to them. But and then especially going above, because think about it, we're going above the 3% that was even proposed. But I just wanted to say specifically thank you to all my colleagues, because everybody had their fingerprints on this, and I know this is something that we can all be proud of. So I'm in 100% in favor. Vice Mayor.
Thank you for your remarks, Mayor, and I apologize. I know you like going last and having the last word, but I just have a question that's germane, and I think it'll help us before we vote. What's the actual number that we're voting on for budget purposes? Because we do need to strike a balanced budget. We do need to know what that actual budget figure is, and there's two different tables that we're tossing around. So
Yeah,
I want to make sure.
It's going to be a blend of the two. I understand how we get there. The safest thing would be to approve the 171,213 number as a total, and then we'll work and that'll be our ceiling. I think there's only whatever, like Councilmember Rodriguez was saying, it's just a few $100 difference, but I think that'll be safer. And then we'll create a new blended or hybrid model based on what was
Perfect.
approved.
I just wanted that finite number to be part of the conversation. So 171,213. Thank you.
Got it. Any further discussion? See none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? See none. The motion passes. We're back on to the budget as amended twice. Any further amendments on the budget?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you have Councilman Dieguez and Councilman Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My amendment is pretty straightforward and simple, and it deals with the Neighborhood Improvement Committee. Manager Peterman says
I'm sorry, Councilman Dieguez. If part of this, you're adding the committee discussion, right? Let me know when you think we should, because I know that they were all here, the committee chairs are here, and they wanted to say a few words about. So I don't know.
Okay, so they will be speaking. So they will be speaking.
Yeah, because I know they all wanted to present part of their budget there. They wanted to talk to us. So.
Okay.
But you pick, because the floor is yours. So.
Yeah, I think I'll proceed. At least from what I've seen on the committee increase side, I don't have any objection to what's being proposed and the moves being made there. And this is kind of more of a technical aspect. But just as the manager has his favorite children, which is all his staff. I love all my committee chairs and their members. Coming from that body politic, and You know, but of course, there is a first among equals for me, and that is the neighborhood improvement. And simply put, they had an event, a bike ride, that was meant to showcase the Miglo project, or Miglo project, on September 17th. But because of the weather, it had to be pushed back. And as a result, there's been a request that's come in due to the exceptional nature of the circumstance, which is the weather, which is out of our control, to go ahead and carry forward $2,250 from this year's current budget, that would be the 2021 budget, and move it to the 21-22 fiscal year budget to cover the cost of the police escort for that Miglo bike ride. So with that, that is my motion again to move carry forward rather $2,250 from this year's existing budget into next year's budget to cover the cost of this event.
I'll second.
Discussion on this, council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Councilman Diegues, would you guys be okay with letting, I know Chair Wicks, I see a couple, but we have 3 or 4 committee folks here. So are you guys okay with them coming up? Because I know they wanted to add some stuff, so yeah, you guys can come up. I know Mama Nance, if you want to break the ice, because I know you wanted to talk public safety. Yeah, so we'll take, if there's anything that you guys want to take up on each committee, you can take it up.
Do I have to say my name and address again? Yeah.
Larry, you're going to speak also? Okay.
Okay, Nancy Rogers, 15558 Braemar Court, Miami Lakes, Florida, 33014. I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee, and we just got information regarding what our budget is going to be for 21-22. I'm not thrilled, mainly because at the time that we had to submit the events we were going to have and different amounts that we were asking for, we were told that, you know, because of COVID, it interfered with some of the events that we have. So while we put in that information, we're now in a situation where Town Hall has opened up meetings. A lot of people here are not wearing masks. Mayor is having a gala at a facility. We're opening up the buildings, and the social distancing has changed. And some of the monies that we've gotten are for the biggest event that we have, which is the Public Safety Committee Police and Fire Appreciation Awards Ceremony, which is tomorrow night. And with the money that I had, I was able to do what I had, move some money around and whatever, but I'm not too happy in the upcoming budget because we had to pick those amounts based on COVID and what we could do and whatever. Now that things have opened up, I'm hoping for a little bit more money so that we can go back to what I thought was a great event when my predecessor, Lynn Matos, was the chair, and they had a breakfast on a Saturday morning, and we were there for so many hours, and now we're relegated to 1 hour tomorrow night on a Thursday night. And then there's another group coming in behind us where we're going to be rushed. 1 hour to do our biggest event of the year, and I just feel like we kind of got gypped. We were given good information at the time. Councilman Fernandez brought up a good point when I asked him, you know, protocol and whatever, and he wanted to know why we didn't put in for more money. Well, because it was under the impression that we weren't going to be able to do anything big anyway. So based on misinformation, I'm asking, and I know you did give us a little bit more money, but $500 isn't going to get us a breakfast on a Saturday morning where we can really entertain these first responders, especially in spite of what's been happening. So I'm going to ask if you can keep that and in mind and consider my request. And I'm begging. I'm
Through
sorry.
the chair, if I may, to the chair, how much funding are you looking for this breakfast?
I'm not sure because it's been 2 years since we've had one, and I would have to negotiate again with the Grahams or wherever we're gonna have it and whatever. And we would have done all that homework had we not been under the impression that we couldn't do anything like that.
If I may ask the manager or maybe our budgeting department, if we can look in previous budgets and see what was allocated for that first responder appreciation breakfast, so that we can,
You've got to go back, I think, something like 3 years.
it's the same $2,000 that are on the budget this year? Okay, so then what we have on the budget for next year is the $2,000 that was allocated in previous years. Is that sufficient?
But no, that covers, we're gonna have to get shirts, there's CERT. The $2,300 that we put in for this year is the same as what we got last year. Prior to that, we used to get something like $4,500 when we did the breakfast.
You got 2,800, so you got a $500 increase.
Now,
Yes.
right, but $500 isn't gonna give us a breakfast. That's my point here. I appreciate the 500, believe me, but it was all under the impression that we were not going to be able to have any kind of a breakfast like we did have.
So last year, we didn't have, we had it in the chambers, I recall. The year before that, was that the year that we hosted at Mary Collins?
See, I'm thinking of tomorrow night. So there's tomorrow night here,
Right.
1 hour. The
2020
year
was
before
also in
that-
this building because it was during COVID.
Right,
So
the-
2019, I believe we hosted at Mary Collins.
Right, there was one, yeah, but keep
It
in
was a
mind, it's sort of like
breakfast.
at the end of the year, so it's kind of hard for me to get it straight in my head.
Okay. And in 2019, the budget was the same?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I think that you had sponsors maybe that helped with that.
I'm not sure because I was chair then, but I hadn't really been part of the budget process prior to that, because it happens sort of at the end of the budget year.
Correct. I know that the previous chair is also in the chambers. Is there any recollection of the budget? And it's because we're going to be moving some things around. So if there's any way that we can accommodate, I know that that's one of the more important recognitions that we do here in the town.
Excuse me. Hi, Lynn Matos, 16340 Woodwalk. It seems to me that the budget was just under $5,000 in either 2018 or 2019. I'm going to speak up because I think it's important. The work that Nancy and her committee has done over the last year, the last 2 years, has really been exceptional. She's gone above and beyond what certainly I was able to do in the short period of time that I was chair. And the fact that $500 is great, and being able to get sponsors is great. But with all due respect to the other committees and the work that she's put forth, talk about somebody who would go above and beyond the additional monies to do a breakfast for our first responders. There really should be no question about allocating enough money to do the things that she needs to do and to hold the type of breakfast or event that she and her committee feel represents the town and the appreciation that we feel for our first responders. There's money there for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I couldn't agree with you more. Thank you, Ms. Matos. So I'm going to ask Chair Rogers, $2,000 for the breakfast. Is that something that would work?
I believe so.
I know that you always try to secure sponsors, and if you can secure sponsors and free up some of these funds, that would be fantastic, but we don't want to put you in a position where you wouldn't be able to host the breakfast.
Let's go for it and try it, and I'll do my best. And again, I will go into the activities of getting a sponsor. It's a little harder than some of the other committees. I'm on Elderly Affairs.
I
And
know.
everybody and their brother wants to be with Elderly Affairs because they're businesses and they're medical people and that type of thing. And it's a little bit different with
It's a
my
little
committee.
bit harder. Okay, so when we move some of the funding around, I will make sure not to forget your,
I really appreciate
breakfast
anything you could do. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mama Nance. Larry, Dottie?
Actually, before Chairwoman comes up, do we have an idea? I know it was $2,000 in the budget, but can we find out what the expense was for the breakfast? The 2019 breakfast.
I have a point of, yeah. I remember my days as a committee chair, and one of the things that and you probably do as well, and it's the style of budgeting. In the past, at least what I used to recall, and this was prior to our current job that Melissa's doing, we actually had a number in our ledger that accounted for sponsorships. So it would make the budget appropriation look larger, right? So even though we were receiving, in the case of Ms. Rogers, or Chairwoman Rogers, she had an event for $5,000. She would get $3,000 in sponsorship and $2,000 allocated from the town. So it looks very, very short. And it's going to be consistent through the budget process because that ledger or that balance has been taken off. Mr. Borman and I have had this discussion prior to the budget meeting. It's kind of the same thing with the military tribute banners, right? We're putting a number, and then we're also putting an expectation to bring the sponsorships in. So I think that's part of it, right? Part of the why you see the budget so much less, or maybe not where that allocation is because there's some areas in the budget where we're not reflecting what the sponsorship monies are. But I know that there's a line item there because Melissa clarified it's 40,000, but I think that's part of the issue. The other part is changing gears from COVID, right? So I think there's going to be some opportunities to work on them. So I'm ready to make motions on some of these things to start filling in those gaps. And I'd like to take a stab at it, at least to address some of the shortages or some of the issues that are going to be brought up by the committee chairs. Starting off with the health and wellness for the council, I think there's $5,000 in the budget. I'm willing to eliminate that from the current budget. Also, the council education and training at $6,500, and a motion to eliminate the travel budget from the council at $12,000, and also eliminate the balance of $88,000 for the Newtown website. I know we've been nibbling at that, but that's going to bring a total ledger of about 100. Help me out here, Councilwoman Morano. About 111.5.
Before I do the math on that, would we be able to add on to this list?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to start off, that'll be my motion, that'll be my first motion, eliminating the per diem travel, the education and training, the health and wellness program, and the 88,000 from the website.
I'll second for discussion. I'll just chime in. I'm all in on 1, 2, and 3. The website, not so much.
Okay.
Excuse me. I'm all in on all of them. I think that these are what I call wants and not needs. I wanted to amend. I wanted to increase to the list of things that I would like to see off of the budget. I'd like to the $6,000 in town branding. I think that is something that we can remove as well. And then I had some questions on the increases in expenses for some of the parks. I don't know if I can tackle that now or. The Optimus Park has increases in several areas. I know that we had done away, when we did our austerity budget, we had done away with some of the maintenance in the parks. So I know that we're slowly bringing some of those.
Yeah, when we had that austerity budget because of the Fpnl franchise fee transition
Correct.
from the county to us, we cut mowing cycles, we cut mulching cycles, we cut beach restoration, and we
Correct.
cut a whole
So
bunch
anything,
of those types
so
of
anything that's maintenance, I kind of understand. Are any of these increases due to contract increases? Have some of our vendors increased their contracts?
I don't believe so.
No.
No.
Okay.
It's just going back to the number, to the pre-FPL issue cycles, the volume of all of those things, the mowing, the tree trimming, the mulching, and all of those things.
Okay, perfect. And then as far as the utilities, there's a telephone service increase at Picnic Park West, There's also telephone service increase at the Optimist. And then there's utilities that have increased at the Optimist to the tune of $15,500. I don't know, I wanted to look into what those are.
I don't know if Herman is here behind us, but that is something that I believe is with the contract for our communications lines over there. I think our contract for the service provider had ended, and the new rates came in higher. But that's something that I would have to defer to Herman. I don't know if he's back there.
So that is with regards to the telephone service?
Correct.
And the utilities, the $15,500 in utilities?
For Optimus,
For
that
Optimus?
that is specifically for the aging infrastructure that's going on. We're seeing more and more of larger expenditures for issues relating to electrical. We had this just year, I think 2 of our lights actually completely went down the entire towers. And back when I was the manager a few years ago, we had about a $12,000 unexpected expenditure for the actual panels that service the entire park. And that had to get corrected immediately in order to keep the park operational.
Okay, so this is more a repair and not like an expense from a utility company? I
Correct.
understood it as like Fpnl or
No,
or the
this is
phone.
this is the repair to the utility line itself.
Okay, perfect. And then park improvements to Picnic Park West, $6,000 in park improvements. Are those,
I believe the $6,000 for Picnic Park West.
is it exercise equipment? I know that we had discussed that at some point.
I think it was refunding the enhancements of our, we used to have a line 4 enhancements, and it was for that, for benches, for our exercise stations, and the repair of those, and changing them out as needed.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah, park improvements. Is that the basketball court as well? Okay, and that's also the replacement of the hoop at Picnic Park West.
Okay, perfect. And then with regards to the committees, I'll bring it up as we're discussing committees now. There's a huge discrepancy between committees, right? And I will echo Josh's sentiments, right? That all committees are my babies, and I love them all, and they all do exceptional work. But some committees are forced to fundraise more than others. Some committees are not funded to the extent that others are. And so in this particular budget, I want to do as much as we can to kind of equalize that field, right? Because there are some committees that don't have to do a lot of legwork. They just receive a bucket of money and do with it what they see fit. And then there's other committees where the budget is so small, and I will include public safety, and I will include the Veterans Committee. Mr. Borman is with us at the podium. These are committees that are forced to fundraise. Otherwise, their activities don't get done. So that's something that was very important for me in this budget, to kind of level out this field a little bit. And I know that some committees have more opportunities. I know that the Elderly Affairs Committee has more opportunities to fundraise. There's more vendors that are interested in coming and doing community outreach. For public safety, I know that it's very difficult. So I was going to eliminate some of the things from the parks budget, but I don't see any right now that I think I'm going to tackle. So we'll just leave it at, I'm going to add to Vice Mayor's motion. I'm going to add the $6,000 in the branding. Oh, and I also wanted to ask about the printing and binding in community outreach. We have in community outreach, we have pop-up events that I know that those, I'm familiar with those, and the maintenance of the trailer. But we have printing and binding. Are we still doing a lot of that? Or are we doing more electronic communications and?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yeah, there's always an opportunity to print posters or distribute flyers at elderly affairs events or different events for neighborhood improvement, their community bike rides. If there's an opportunity to distribute educational materials, that's where that funding would come from.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
So for right now, I would just add to the Vice Mayor's list the branding, the $6,000 in branding.
Vice Mayor, just clarification, just being real, because we went through this last year. when you made the motion on the travel, I'll be very honest with you, I do use it, so this year I'll be going to Tallahassee. It just pays for my flight, and there is an
It was-
outside possible, yeah.
Travel for the council only. Is your travel separate from ours? I believe this one just says per diem council. I don't know if yours is included in here or not.
I think it's all included in the same. Are we still going to be traveling even during COVID? Like, has anything changed?
The reason I thought you were excluded from here, because there's 6 of us at $2,000 each, and that's what equals 12,000.
Yeah, and I didn't use it all last year. The majority went back, but I did.
But there's 6 of us plus 1.
Got it.
So I thought that's why his was excluded from here.
Yeah, council member, the rules in Tallahassee last year were very stringent. They did not, when the mayor and I traveled to Tallahassee, we had to meet with some legislators out on a bench out by so we were not able to go inside. It was very, it's funny, the moment the legislature, recessed, they opened it up, and since then, I think all the buildings have been wide open. So I don't know if that's gonna be the same MO for this upcoming session. We'll try and find out.
From my understanding, they are going back to a regular process on both the House and the Senate side. In fact, today was the second day of their interim committee weeks, for the coming session, and they even have an audience again in the individual committee rooms that they didn't have before. So they are going back to regular order, if you will. So at least I anticipate that even the Day Days organization will be kicking up their Day Days event again for the coming year.
We'll do a little due diligence and ask the question. We'll contact Day Days and see if they're planning to have that, so at least you have that information.
And let me, just for the benefit of my colleague, because I did kind of rush through each item, but there is a methodology to the madness. The reason that I was going after the travel and the per diem, again, all of us up here receive a stipend. I consider that stipend part of the reimbursement that we should be using for these expenditures that we take on while we're doing town business, whether we're using our car, whether we're going out, whether we're buying tickets for the mayor's gala, supporting a Boy Scouts troop. And I've always considered that money the town's money. So that's why I don't believe that we should also be taking a reimbursement on travel for these expenditures, with the exception of the mayor. And why? Because he engages in this type of travel a little bit more than we do. The expectation of the mayor's presence in Tallahassee and maybe in front of other governmental entities is different. I exclude him from it. So, I don't mind sharing a room with a colleague. I don't mind all of us taking a car, but I think it should come out of our stipend. I think that's part of it, and that's why I'm removing the 12,000. The education and training. I know there's value in education and training, and I know at one point in time, one of the biggest advocates here was the mayor, that we should all go and take up this opportunity. If you want to, bring it forward at a meeting, right? If you want to go and pursue an individual conference, I think Councilman Fernandez, you went out to the Parks and Recreation Conference. I'm pretty sure you paid for that out of your own pocket. I'm pretty sure you haven't even asked for a reimbursement for that. Or
For the trip, I paid out of my own pocket, but they comped us the entrance.
But if we want to go to a conference or a trade show that's compelling, bring it before us. I'll be more than happy to entertain it, and we can see where the money's at in the budget. The health and wellness, I appreciate, and I appreciate us trying to, but I believe that's attributed to the opportunity to maybe make these meetings a little bit longer. I think as long as we do not have food here, maybe we'll go through the agenda a little bit quicker. So I'm in favor of making them as expedient as possible. And that's why I targeted those particular items. The reason that I went to the website was because of actions that I started seeing taken after the fact. The fact that we started nibbling, and I'm not coining the term, as somebody used it, I don't know who, but that we started picking out of that made it seem that it wasn't critical, or that it could be somehow stretched out. So that's the only reason that I went after that 88,000, was because if it can be nibbled on, I'd rather remove it, and then if we need to come back to it later on in the year, we know how this budget works. Nobody here has done this for the very first time. We may have second opportunities. So I wanted to remove it, and then I wanted to do something with this budget that Councilman Morano started working towards, which is normalizing some of the activities on the committees, like in response to Mrs. Rogers' request, in response to Mr. Coote and Mr. Boardman's request, trying to put those asks in, because I understand their frustration. It's very frustrating to go through a committee budget process and put all these issues that you want to work on, and maybe not of them all make onto the table. I want to give them the opportunity to see those requests coming back to them. So that's why I made those motions. With the balance, I have no problem putting that back into reserves. I have no problem. I do not feel compelled that we must spend all of this money today. I feel, and I know that there's infrastructure. I know there was a particular public comment that wanted us to show them where these projects go. You know, once we run out of sidewalk money, once we run out of infrastructure money, let's have that conversation and let's start seeing where we need. If we're out of this money in 3 months, then we need to know we're out of this money in 3 months, and then start allocating towards that. So the balance of that money, whatever's remaining, whether it be, 20,000 or it be 100,000, I wanted to come back in a conversation. I'm very interested to hear the perspective of Councilman Fernandez, because the website is your wheelhouse, right? And while all of us share different knowledge bases here, I'm particularly tuned in when a colleague of mine has a certain expertise in an area. So I'm actually willing to back that out of the conversation if we're all in agreement, at least with the first three, which is the 12, the 6,500, and the 5,000. But, I'll continue the discussion. But I just wanted to clarify why I was doing the process. I was maybe just a little eager to get it in, and just wanted to give everybody my feedback on it.
So I'll chime in. I can definitely support the rest of it. I think, and I don't necessarily want to speak for the manager, but he's not sitting down at his chair. I believe the spirit of nibbling at the website was because, for as daunting as it sounds, it's going to be a multi-year project to redo the website. So there's always the opportunity of some of the expense on this budget and getting, cleaning up whatever the rest of the expense is during the next budget. So I think that was kind of, we're not going to expend the entire, budgeted funds during this fiscal year anyway. So I think that was kind of the spirit of it.
Yeah, that's correct, council member. Obviously, it's a very in-depth process just to get to the point where we find the right vendor, the right product, then the implementation, then going through development and production, and so that's why if we thought that there was some place to nibble, it would have been there, because we know that it'll probably exceed one 12-month period. That if there is something just to finish it up or a final phase, we could request that budget-wise in the following fiscal year.
So
not to diminish the importance of it.
I'll amend my motion to withdraw the 88,000 from the website, but include the 6,000 identified by Councilwoman Arano.
Second.
On this one, all those in favor, or unless there's discussion?
I did want to add some debate, and I think Councilman Alvarez did as well.
Because I think we're on the second motion right now, and now it's we're on the second motion. Madam Clerk, if you can put us in the proper posture. Madam Clerk's going to have to go back and listen to minutes for a long time on this one.
So right now we have the amendment to Vice Mayor Collazo to motion to eliminate council travel per diem for mayor, education and training, health and wellness, and if I understand correctly, you eliminated the new town website. You put it back into the table, correct?
Yep.
But then you added Council Member Ruano's suggestion, which was to eliminate the increase in the town branding of $6,000. That is your new amendment, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we have
All
that
right.
one on.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for putting us in that proper posture. We're back to Councilman Dieguez, then Councilman Alvarez, and Councilman Rodriguez. You jump in whenever you feel fit to jump in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm going to be supporting the item, especially with the late amendment to exclude the website as part of the cuts. I think that the other cuts make sense. The food, I mean, I've Ubered food, in the middle of our meetings before to eat, or in the case of today, for example, I cooked ahead of time. So I don't think that's a huge deal. On the education and the travel budgets, I think we're all fortunate that this current council is able to do those things, and the prior council also was able to do those things on our own dime. I don't want to always make it a regular thing in the future, at least, if we ever have a colleague that is not as fortunate as we are, to be able to, or to rather to eliminate that option for them to have their travel reimbursed if they want to participate in day days and whatnot. Just because, again, we're blessed, but I don't know what, a future council member's financial situation will be. But I'll support it this time nonetheless. And with the website, my issue there and why I'm glad it was removed is because, to me, there's also a legal issue there. I remember in the first budget hearing, I asked if that was going to include updates that were necessary to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. So for me, I don't want to become a target for every Tom, Dick, and Jane ADA attorney to come and try and whack us over the face, just because they want to hit us with some claim.
Is that a firm?
Pardon me?
Dick and Jane, is that a firm, or?
It could coming soon to Miami Lakes. But yeah, and I've seen it plenty of times where you have some of these unscrupulous ADA attorneys just trying to look for things to sue municipal governments for. And I think it already happened recently or a few years ago with the website. I don't want it to happen again, so I think we need to remedy that issue. And the last thing I'll say on the website, and why I also was not in favor of removing it, is because the website should be a tool that's easily accessed by the public, but also navigated by the public. I think right now it's so loaded up with so much information there, and I've even clicked on links that redirect to something else that isn't what it's supposed to link to, and I think it needs some help. So that's why I'm fine with the redesign for both the legal issue of the ADA and also because it just really does need to be simplified to allow residents to really extract true value out of it as it's intended. So I'm going to support the item, but I just want to put those thoughts on the record with respect to the travel budget and the education side of things in the long term, and then also why initially I was against the item when it had the website, but I will be supporting it now.
Councilman Alvarez.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in partially support with the motion. Two things that I won't be supporting. I see travel and per diem like us attending a conference. It's for professional growth. It's a learning experience. And I do feel that as a council that is something that should be reimbursable, and we should have, all council and the mayor should have a travel budget. And to be realistic, typically it's going to be to go to Tallahassee and get information about our appropriation and follow up with state representatives and legislators and senators, et cetera. We did a lot of productive work as well. I remember Vice Mayor Collazo set up a meeting with FDOT when they started putting those the lanes. And I'm not in agreement that should come out of our dollar. I see it as a conference. I see it as a professional learning opportunity. I do feel that we should remove education and training because through our workshops and through the town staff here, we get trained and get educated in a plethora of different ways related to agenda items, and the administrative health and wellness as well would be something that I would support to remove. Town branding as well. So I am in support of removing the education and training, the wellness, and the increase in town branding, and also removing the new town website. Those are the things that I am in support of removing. However, I think my suggestion is to keep our per diem for this professional growth opportunity that we may have if we choose to go. Again, not all the time the council opts to go in to Tallahassee during legislative session, so there may be a difference there. I do want to put something on the record, and I do want to thank Councilmember Dieguez for sharing this. I think instead of allocating $88,000 towards a new town website, my question would be, one, how long ago have we adopted this platform? Two, have we mastered, according to one of the comments that were made by my colleagues, where there are certain links that redirect you to the wrong side? So I think before looking at a new website, have we maximized the opportunity to perfect this website before we go on a different platform? So I'm not in support. What I will say, and I'm going to go off the cuff here, what I am in support of is according to this report that Councilmember Dieguez brought up, I'm far more in support of something being more competitive, and I'll tell you right now, and it's not to put anybody out there, but I'd rather have more of a competitive salary for our town clerk than spend $88,000 on a new platform of a website. And listen, thank you for requesting this, because I don't evaluate her, but to me, I think that I'm of the opinion that her salary should be a lot more competitive than what is listed here. Not to mention that it's the third most differential compared to the other municipalities that this report. So I just want to put that for the record. Manager, Mr. Manager, you can consider, if you can entertain that in the future and consider that based on this report. So again, I won't be supporting the motion as amended, because I do feel that, our professional development and our conference opportunities is something that should be budgeted. But everything else I do feel, so whatever happens with the vote happens. But Mr. Manager, I would, have you revisit this, because I think a position of our town clerk and the work that she does should be something that is a lot more competitive with other municipalities throughout Miami-Dade County. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Alvarez. Any further comments? No, go ahead. I'll chime in after you.
I just had a question about the website before we moved on, because I don't think that I will be supporting adding the website back into the budget. So can you walk me through what it is that we're going to do to the website? What are the improvements that are going? I mean, I use the website all the time, and I don't. I think that there's way more information on there than in other municipalities.
Yeah, so basically it's a completely new platform, one that is ADA compliant, one that is responsive to mobile devices. If you go on our website right now on your mobile device, you got to do a lot of opening up and closing the links and finding the link. So it would be a mobile responsive website. So
And it will
ADA
be-
and mobile responsive are the two.
It will be ADA compliant. So one of the issues that we've been having is that the information that we have on the website is not, it hasn't been, I guess, I don't even know what word to use. Councilmember Fernandez, can you please rescue me? Converted into, thank you. I just had to look at you and it just, say thanks.
We're working on that conversion, but it's a very
So
tedious,
regardless-
very
right.
painstaking process.
So regardless of whether the website is ADA compliant or not, we are still, we're still under that problem that we have not converted all of that old information.
So it's two parts. One is our website, and the other part are the PDFs that live on that website.
Correct.
The PDFs are actually the ones that are currently being converted. This process has been
Right, it's
ongoing
gonna
for a couple
take
of
forever.
years. Correct. So it's a two-part process.
Okay, and the reason why I ask is because I want to make sure, I know Councilmember Dieguez mentioned that it's very important to become compliant, but even with this new website, we're not compliant, because the information that's on the website in PDF form is not compliant. So we can still get sued, basically.
Well, with the transition to a new website, and we've gone back to the back end of the website and see where the traffic of the PDFs, how many people are opening PDFs that are older than 3 years, and it's not much. The threshold is at 3 years. So what we're currently working on is converting those past 3 years of minutes and agendas and ordinances and all those other PDFs that live on our website, converting those first, and those would be transferred onto our website. And once we get further into the conversion of the later dates, then those would be added to our website. But we're going to concentrate
So the
on
new-
just storing 3 years worth of PDFs on the new website.
Understood. And how far are we from achieving that goal of the conversion of the last 3 years?
Gina, how is our ADA coordinator doing?
I know that there is a magnificent staff member that diligently does this
She's-
all
she's
day,
doing-
every day.
She's doing amazing. She started a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. She's wonderful. The previous person who did that was Brandon, amazing as well. This young lady is doing other things because she does it fast.
Okay.
So we're on par. I want to say that we're ADA in all the resolutions, ordinances, minutes, basically what I generate for the past 3 years. I think we started with Brandon in 2018, and we're right now presently keeping up.
So if
So-
we were to install or I guess bring online this new platform, thank you, we would be able to incorporate those 3 years right away.
I want to say yes, absolutely.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Mayor, at some point before the final vote is tallied, I'd just like, because sometimes a title doesn't really tell the whole story, and the town branding issue that you're considering deleting, I just want Claricel to give you a brief explanation of what is in there, so that when you make a decision, you do it with as much information as possible. You do it with your eyes wide open, and you're not caught off guard later, and you say, oh, wow, I didn't realize that we deleted that, so.
May I do so now? Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Manager. So the request to increase our town branding by 6,000 was to create a series of videos that highlight our town. If you've seen our social media and our website, and you've seen videos such as the Infrastructure Month video, that video that we did for September 11th most recently, the Breeze Courtyard, the one that was highlighting the veteran banners, the one that our deputy town attorney did for our committee rules and for our committee members. We want to continue doing that. We find that it provides good information on what the town is doing, and it gets a lot of community engagement. A lot of people watch it, a lot of people share it. So if you would please reconsider keeping that at the funding level requested, it would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Alvarez, some of your points, one thing that the Vice Mayor said that I remembered happened to me when I was up here, and nobody ever voted no, that the money for travel and educational would go to reserves. So if you saw if it's even Tallahassee, you would just put it on the agenda and request it. I mean, I remember those 2 years where I chaired a statewide economic development committee, and I would have to put it on the agenda, but nobody voted no on it. So, but I understand, and I think that's a happy medium there, I think. And it's not saying no, but, you know, the opportunity is still there. But I agree with you on the website, and yeah, I'm sure Gina was blushing there because she, if I were the general manager of a team, she'd be one of my first picks as well to be on the squad, and she definitely does an incredible job. But thank you, Gina. And again, remember, we have 3 employees that we oversee, right? The clerk, the manager, and the town attorney. While the clerk is a hybrid, that is one of the positions that we directly are the ones that say how they're doing, how their job's doing, and all that. So there's always opportunities there to change that. So, but yeah, I'm fine with most of these changes, Councilman Rodriguez, and I know Larry Borman is having a great time just waiting for us there.
I don't have anything to add, Mayor. I'm in agreement with the motion.
Do you all want to just take a vote on this? On the right, we're on. Madam Clerk, you want to repeat the motion one more time?
So the amendment to Vice Mayor motion, which he amended himself, is to eliminate council travel and per diem, but with the exception for the mayor, to reinstate to eliminate the council education and training, to eliminate the administrative health wellness. Originally, he had eliminated the town new website, but he added it back to the table, but he added council member Ruanos to eliminate the town branding. Is that correct, Vice Mayor Collazo?
Correct.
Okay. That is the motion.
So the motion's to remove 4, right? Just to get.
To remove, yes.
It's 4 of them altogether, right? And reinstating of the website.
Correct.
Got it. Just on this, all those in favor?
No.
Aye.
Aye.
And there's one no vote, Councilman Alvarez. The motion passes. And still, there's other opportunities, Councilman Alvarez and everybody else, to make other motions if you see fit to change things, but we're gonna go to Larry, who's been very patient.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Council. And thank you, town officials. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Mike Coote was supposed to be here tonight. Unfortunately, couldn't make it. He's our Veteran Committee Chair. And he told me to keep it brief. Well, I tell him I was up here for half an hour. Anyway, Vice Mayor Lewis gave me a little bit of insight when we were sitting back over here before the meeting, and he answered a lot of my questions. But there's still a few things that I wanted to cover. The Veterans Committee takes a lot of pride in representing the town of Miami Lakes. And we're here humbly, I'm here humbly, to ask you to please consider our budget of $15,000 as opposed to the 5 that we were granted. And there was a reason for that. Some of the events that we are presently doing, including the military banner campaign, the Arbor Day event, the Veterans Day Parade, the Jingle Bell Jog, and most recently the September 11th ceremony are the things that we need this money for. In the past, we've been able to raise most of the money through private sponsorship. But there's more to that private sponsorship that really people haven't considered, and we've considered as veterans. Example is like on Arbor Day. I mean, Arbor Day, we had 2 trees that we donated to 2 fallen veterans, and it was kind of sad that it should have been from the town, not from private sponsors. The fallen soldiers whose pictures are up on our banners, I mean, we don't want to use them for advertising. We're not here for advertising. That's not the whole idea of it. And the idea of raising our budget to $15,000 was so that we wouldn't have to come to our private sponsors and ask them to sponsor these events that we really don't want them to. Now, in the event of the banners, we realized 3 years ago this was brought about and sponsored by the Auto Mall. And we're very much appreciative. And it's been accepted by the town, and I think everybody likes it. Even the city of Hialeah adopted the same thing. You know, they have banners this year with their guys, but you know what? The city of Hialeah didn't go after sponsors and a local car dealer to pay for it. They paid for it. And we're asking the town of Miami Lakes to do the same thing. We give off to you. We're there. We're out there all night long putting those things up. We're in the park putting up flags, whatever we got to do. We're your Veterans Committee, and we work for you. And we're proud to be veterans. We're proud to be residents of this town. And we'd be even more proud if you'd go ahead and give us our budget.
Thank you, Larry. I know Chair Wicks. No? She waves in support of the budget. Got it. And I know
I'll
Lynn-
move, I'd like to make a motion to add $10,000 to the Veterans Committee out of the money that we removed from the budget, and $2,000 to the Public Safety Committee from that money as well.
Second.
I'll second.
Second. That's third.
Discussion on this, discussion on this, discussing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. We're back on to the budget as amended. No. Any other motions, council?
I have one additional motion.
Vice Mayor, then Councilman Alvarez.
I'd like to reconsider the town's branding efforts, and I know that the Communications Department has been producing some videos, but I'd like to reduce that item to $3,000, see the work product that comes forward, and if there is merit to bring back the idea and fully restore it later, if that's possible. But be making a motion to bring back that item for 6,000. I mean, for 3,000 instead of 6.
I'll second.
Discussion on this?
Bit suspicious.
Discussion, council.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Morano.
if I may, I want to, I'm a little suspicious too, but we won't get into that. I want to commend the communication department and the gentleman that is producing the videos. I've met him, I've seen him working, and the videos are absolutely exceptional. They give you chills, they make you excited about living in Miami Lakes, and I think that, that he's done wonderful work. I commended him when I saw him at the September 11th tribute, and the video was absolutely wonderful. I mean, he always delivers a phenomenal product. So, although I was the individual that decided to remove the branding, in an effort to keep up the pace of those videos, I would be inclined to reintroduce all $6,000 to that account.
I'll second the amendment.
On the amendment, any discussion? Council, the strike all amendment, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes, and it was a strike also. We're back onto the budget as amended. I got 3 things that I wanted to talk to my colleagues about and just ask questions. One thing I just wanted to bring up, and I know it was important to the Vice Mayor, but I wanted to bring it up here, was on our matching grants, us going out and doing those matching efforts. I know I know we made a commitment to test it out, and I know we lost one of the last grants, so I want to have a discussion with the Vice Mayor and the rest of my colleagues, seeing if that's something that you all wanted to reconsider, those matching funds that we were doing. I know the one that we did test out, we didn't get, and there's an opportunity cost to that, so I just wanted to have that discussion again because I know how hard Renee works on these grants, and I just wanted to bring that up, see if anybody had an appetite to at least, I don't know if there's another way to look at this, but I know that last grant, I believe we had lost on it. We lost that opportunity. So
I'll speak to that issue because I was the biggest advocate of committing those PTP dollars in the long term, and there's no easy answer to that question. And really, Mayor, the reason that project in particular, I favored not doing the commitment was because of the impact of that project in the area that it was being committed to. And then it was going to require us to give a certain allotment of monies that we could use to better our sidewalks, better our streets, better our pavement, which we know is a significant need. So it really depends on the project. If the project adds value, I think absolutely we should be making the commitment. But it really depends on the area that it's at. And if it's going to be an underutilized project or an underutilized area, I'd like for those matches to be reconsidered. But if it's something that we know can make an immediate impact, then I think it's okay to move forward on that match.
Yeah, Mayor, what we could do is on a grant application by grant application basis, we can bring it back to you, and in the memo and in the explanatory memo, we can make it very clear, because some grant programs don't require a match, so those are out. Some mandate a match. It's those ones in between that don't necessarily require a match, but give you extra points in the evaluation if you match. So what we can do is provide you that side-by-side comparison, you know, option A with the match and where it would come from, and option B would be without a match, and then the council can make a decision application by application.
that's fine. That answers, that's good. Unless somebody else had something, but I'm fine with that discussion. Hey, I do have 2 more things, Jeremy. The person that spoke earlier is 100% spot on Canine Cove. It's not in the best condition. From a budgetary standpoint, are you okay with where the budget's at for maintenance at Canine Cove? But I know it leaves a lot to be desired, and it's not the only person that's talked to me about that. I've had multiple people reach out to me about the conditions there.
At this point, the budget that's allocated for Canine Cove is sufficient to maintain it at its current standards. Now, the maintenance plan that's set up for it is based off of a different turf that's there. So there could be some increases to Canine Cove to enhance that turf that is actually installed there versus the way we're currently maintaining it. But within its current contract, we can't keep it at the standards that it's at now.
So you're recommending keeping it at the standards now, or do you think there's?
I'm just jumping into the management and oversight of Canine Cove specifically. I want to keep it at its current budget and work with it and work directly with the vendors to make sure we're delivering on the service that should be given to us, to see if there is a need for moving forward.
Got it. No, please bring it back to Councilman Fernandez and then Councilwoman. Yep, and then Councilwoman Rano, I know, mentioned something. And Councilman.
Correct, and I believe the speaker also mentioned something about wanting more benches and exactly more seating. What would it cost?
Right now, every bench is roughly, I want to say it's a, I can't see the number. 700 a bench, plus potentially having to increase the actual concrete station where it's going to be placed into. Roughly could be close to $1,000 per bench.
How many more benches do you think would be feasible?
There's a good amount of participation there. So if we had to put benches for the amount of people being there, we'll probably put another three benches per side potentially.
All right, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move $2,100 from the money that we just cut to Canine Cove to add 3 additional benches.
Second. Discussion. I know we had Councilman Rano and Councilman Diegues.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. With regards to the speaker's comment about there being a hole in the fence that her dog,
Yes, so we also received that concern as well. We had staff go out and inspect it. There were no holes, there were no actual structural damages to the fencing and any of the actual chain link. What we are looking is we are working with our handyman, and we're going to be straightening. What it seems is the actual gates where our maintenance companies come in and out is a little lopsided, so we're actually going to be straightening that. The problem is basically that bottom corner is creating a gap mainly for the small breed section, and that's where they're getting out of. So we've already taken a look at it, and we already issued a work order for handyman to go ahead and straighten out those gates, those access gates.
perfect, thank you so much.
And my question is going to be along the same lines as Councilwoman Rano, which is the budget sufficient to deal with the fence issue that the resident had identified? So being that you answered that question, through the chair to the manager, my question is, based on the current motion, the funding source, how much money is left then, based on the cuts that we had made?
And Melissa's probably going to tell me I'm wrong, but I think 12, if you approve this, I think 12.4.
Okay, no, just wanted to make sure, because obviously we put back in the 6,000. Now we're going to be adding some additional money to Canine Cove, and 9,400 would be
Let me
left.
verify it, council member, before I...
My tally, I've been keeping a tally up until this is 11.5, so 11.5 minus 2,100 would be 9.4.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, because I should have taken some of those notes, but I did not. So thank you, my colleagues, for helping me out there.
Got it. Any further discussion on this, Councilman Rodriguez? No?
I don't have anything to add, Mayor.
He said 21.
21.
Any further discussion on this, council? See none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Jeremy. I think we're good. I did have a question for our building director. So, Director Angel, I know you've been heading into a model that I'm a fan of, which is the contract model. It's already saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars. I know we got the notice today. I know it probably happened last week based on what everybody, I mean, I was getting calls from all over the county. Congratulating. We found out today. I guess that's, what happens here. But I saw that it's budgeted for $120,000. Is that a full-time position, or is that a contracted position? Because I know the model that we're going for, that's a part-time job.
For the building official, the offer is for the full-time position.
And it's full-time?
Yes, sir.
For a part-time job? Or you?
So the building official's role is now going to take on also the chief building inspector role, which is mostly plan reviews. So we combine those two positions into one position. So it's the building official, but also the de facto chief building inspector, which will assume most, if not all, of the building plan reviews.
Got it. we
And
couldn't-
also throw in their inspectors. He does roofing inspections and standard building inspections as well too.
Got it. Oh, that's fine. Okay. Thank you.
I will chime into that. The only thing I don't particularly love about that organizationally is that now the chief plan reviewer is the building official. So if you have a dispute, you don't really have.
No, the building official overall has the jurisdictional authority
Right.
over all the decisions.
He always has final word.
He's the building.
And that nothing has changed in this makeup, in this.
Right,
home
and
safety.
just to clarify, before the prior organization was, you had a chief building inspector who would do all the plan reviews, and then the building official was the final authority. Now you have the building official who's doing the plan reviews.
Right. I guess I look at it differently. I look at it like, if you were to have an issue with the plan reviewer and you wanted a second opinion from the building official, you can't do that anymore because they're the same person.
Right.
No.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the building official is the final say.
So I know I was praising you the other day for all the money you saved. With this new hire, is a lot of that off the table, or how much money have
I
you
think
saved?
we're still projected to have a savings of about $300,000 in current salaries.
Got it. All right. Thank you. Any further motions or any other discussions? Councilman Alvarez.
Mayor, you know me, I'm very meticulous, and I don't like to give up until I get to where the point that I want to make across. So, Lorenzo told me my role and my capacity, so I'm going to be just very specific. And I'm going to say it in the way an attorney told me to say it, as opposed to how Carlos Alvarez would want to say it. Mr. Manager, I would ask you to consider in this year's budget year modifying the town clerk's salary to be competitive and equivalent to Sunny Isles Beach. That is, my motion is, if the council wishes to support my motion, or if not, that's fine. But my motion is for the manager to consider increasing the base salary of our town clerk to equivalent to Sunny Isles Beach, which is still the second lowest of the report that Councilman Dieguez requested from the staff.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion on this, and no discussion?
I guess my question is, so this is not a directive, this is just simply a request.
Yeah, I'll consider it.
I mean, but does that require, so is that a council action, or is that just?
No, that's not.
It's a hybrid position. So while the manager appoints, we still have to approve her. So in theory, we could, because that is one of the positions we oversee.
Yeah, but I
And
guess
anything has to do with monetary, we can do.
No, I understand, but I guess well, okay, now I think I know what you mean about what the attorney was saying, because, I mean, to me, if it's a request, I don't really view it as council action, because it's not really a directive. It's like any one of us can ask the manager to consider anything at any time. So, I guess that's what's.
There is a motion, it's a directive.
Well, okay, so yeah, I guess, so are we directing him, or are we asking him?
Councilman Alvarez.
We're directing him to consider and bring it back once everything's final in the salary positions to make it equivalent to Sunny Isles Beach.
Okay.
So the directive is for his consideration, and if you guys want to back up the directive for him to consider as he finalizes the budget to increase that salary. I mean, we're just putting $88,000 to a website for
Hold
crying
on,
out.
but it's a bit more than a website. Just
Well,
wanted
I
to
know,
clarify.
but I mean, it's $88,000.
Yeah.
You know, my second question, like, did we go through a procurement policy to get this number too? How many vendors did we do our due diligence to reach out to? Because 88, listen, it passed, but I have an issue with $88,000. I use educational networks, and nowhere near do we pay near that. So I'm not going to get into the weeds, but I hope there was some sort of bid process from other websites, because I think $88,000 is ludicrous for a website platform overhaul, whatever you want to call it. I think $88,000 is extremely lofty. So asking for an eighth of that to make a staff member's salary competitive to the second lowest out of all the municipalities, again, that's not lofty. $88,000 for a website is lofty. So my directive is for his consideration. So when the final budget comes before us, if we see it, that'd be great. If you guys want to support it, wonderful. And if you don't, then we move on.
Point of information, where's our based on the savings that we generated, where are we right now with the money left over? I know we were at 11,000, but then obviously the 2,100, so.
But
9,400.
Yeah, Melissa told me I was wrong, but.
So who was wrong?
9,400.
Okay. So then why don't we just go ahead and throw the 9,400 at the manager to give to the clerk?
Second.
Remember what we're doing here, we're budgeting, right? So the actual determination of whether any of our staff, their salaries should be adjusted is my prerogative. The amount of money you put towards departments and so forth, towards salaries, is obviously, that's the 100%, that's the function of the council, is to do that budgeting.
So why not just put then that amount allocated to the department generally, and then once you make your decision, you already have it allocated, because you're still gonna have to come to us anyway to ask for that allocation, no? Or
Well-
to transfer from one line item to.
We would have to eventually if that decision is made, right?
So why not just do it tonight, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the 100%, that's a budgeting question, and if you decide to put it in that department, then that's where it'll be.
The clerk's a charter member, so I mean,
Yeah,
that's
no, I
just-
completely understand the hybrid concept that even though the manager hires the clerk, we have the ultimate decision to fire, per the charter. But for purposes of the budget question, if the council member will indulge me, I'm gonna make a strike all amendment just simply to allocate the 9,400 that's remaining into the clerk's department with instructions for the manager to consider allocating that money toward an increase in the town clerk's salary.
Second.
Discussion on this. So I'm 100% in favor of it. But I will say on the comparisons here between cities, just keep in the back of your mind, these are Homestead and Coral Gables shouldn't even be up here. Those are full service cities, right? Homestead actually has utilities that they oversee, electricity.
I'm with you on Homestead,
So,
but
yeah.
I disagree as to Coral Gables.
No, the Gables Fire Department, Police Department, I think garbage too.
But we're talking about the clerk, I think.
No,
right now.
But what I'm saying is overall, like I wish it would have been Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay. Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay are the best comparisons for us. So just food for that. But I'm 100% in favor of it. Specifically because the clerk is a charter member. That's one of the employees that we communicate with directly without any interference, so we can talk to her directly, and same way with the attorneys and the manager.
Yeah, we requested this information from Cutler Bay and Palmetto Bay also. They did not respond in whatever was the week that we had to gather this information, but I'd be more than happy to continue to pursue that and provide that information to you at some future date, once I get it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Any other motions on the budget as amended? Anything else?
Just some questions.
Yes.
No more motions from me, but there were some residents that wanted a bit more clarity on Councilmember Fernandez's item with respect to the senior exemption. So through the chair to the manager, just wanted to see. I know you mentioned the total cost is going to be about $72,000. In essence, the reductions that you outlined in this handout was going to be the source for covering that exemption. But I was wondering if you can please tell us the
It's
number
not an
of
exemption.
well, pardon me. A rebate.
Yes.
So with that said, how many homes would be affected? What's the criteria being used? There were some people asking, so I just want to put it on the record so that there's more clarity.
It's anybody who qualifies for the senior exemption. There's two exemptions. You got to qualify first for the senior exemption, and if you qualify for that one, then you could apply for the long-term senior exemption, but you got to qualify for the first one first. So in the long-term senior exemption of 391 properties, there was about 30-something that also qualified for the long-term senior exemption. And I believe that Melissa, correct me, with the long-term senior exemption, that zeroes out their property tax already. So we're really talking only about the other ones. And even of the other ones, even if they don't qualify for the long-term senior exemption, the senior exemption may be enough, depending on the value of their home, may be enough to have zeroed out the amount that they paid to the town.
And what are the criteria for those exemptions?
They have to be a certain age, they have to meet a certain income level, which I think is like 31,000. There's a criteria that is established by the state and then adopted by the county and our municipality.
And this data is derived from the property appraiser. It's not our own analysis or anything
Correct.
like that.
We get that information from the property appraiser, so there'd be 360 properties more or less that will qualify for this, and those are all based on a criteria set by the state statute and adopted by the county and Miami Lakes.
Thank you. And just one more question from me with respect to the paid interns. Is that for the interns that go through the existing general internship program, or does this also apply if, say, I were to identify an intern? Like in the past, you and I have talked about me getting an intern, so I just wanted to see if that would also apply in that situation.
Yeah, since I've been here, we haven't had the funding in the budget for paid interns. We've had sprinkling of unpaid interns that they've done it for college credit, and they've been very, very good. Some of our key members of our town staff got their foot in the door being paid interns. So we think that's why we propose to bring that program back. So all of the fine details of how that program will work, we haven't developed it, but we'll put it together and see where the priorities are, and then start allocating how we'll divvy that up.
Thank you. And just a final comment on that same program. I just want to point out that earlier this year, the manager may recall, there was a student at Dartmouth that wanted to intern with the town and came exceptionally qualified. But because he came from a family of lower means, he was not able to contribute his talents to the town. He needed to find a job that could actually pay him something, at least, to help cover his, at least his books and whatnot, because while his tuition may be covered through his scholarships and all that, obviously it's not cheap, commuting back and forth, buying books, you name it. And then also just in general, again, when your family doesn't earn enough to be able to support the entire unit the way that ours are fortunate to do, it becomes a problem. But, so I'm 100% supportive. This line item, I just wanted to get clarification on it, but I just also want to highlight, where it actually could have, helped us get some spectacular talent that's locally grown. And by locally grown, I don't necessarily mean Miami Lakes, but again, somebody who's in an adjacent community who's willing to contribute to our town's well-being, and where we lost that opportunity because, we had no I'm going to avoid that word. We had nothing to help them out with. So with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm done with my questions and motion, except for one motion that will come after we approve the coming budget.
So you have a motion after we approve the budget?
Yeah, because it affects the current year's budget.
Got it. Anything else on the budget as amendment before we vote?
The one thing that I want to kind of chime in, and it's not really in the form of a formal motion, I think we kind of went through a little bit more mental and numerical gymnastics than we needed to do. It would be my recommendation for next budget cycle for the manager to complete his performance evaluations before the budget process, so that we have a number of how many employees are rated, so that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, my plan is to do it midsummer, so that they are all complete by the time we get to that, early to midsummer, so that we're all done by the time we get to the budget process.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Any further questions, motions, anything else on the, no? You guys sure? Vice Mayor? All right, I'm gonna close it off. Before we vote, just wanted to thank a few people on our staff that I think did a great job. Obviously our entire finance team, Ismail, Kay, Melissa, Ruth, Sarah, these are folks that I trust, that do a great job. I've known Melissa since we were kids, and I don't remember her being such a great numbers person, but she is the real deal. Plus, she is a fierce advocate for her colleagues. She loves all her colleagues a lot, and she's here on the weekends. So, but that entire team, Isma, Kay, Melissa, Ruth, and Sarah, just wanted to personally thank all five of you guys. You guys are one department that, there's a saying in Spanish, confío con los ojos cerrados, right? That you guys do such a great job that I really, really trust you guys. And then our clerk and deputy clerk, because they had you guys running around trying to reschedule this and find statutes and work with our employees and stuff like that. So I know Councilman Alvarez, we ended up changing it, so it ended up working out. So I really appreciate you guys. Great job. With that being said, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Item 12B, ordinance in second reading, main motion as amended. Councilmember Dieguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez.
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilmember Alvarez.
Yes.
Councilmember Ruano.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Collazo.
Yes.
Mayor Sid.
Yes.
Ordinance in second reading passes.
We're on, Councilman Dieguez said he wanted the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and also, again, great job, staff, to all our department heads and our finance department in particular. But the motion at the request of our town attorneys is to, in this year's budget, go ahead and move $40,000 from the litigation reserve to pay certain expenses related to the 170th Avenue litigation. These are bills that came in late, and so that's why they're just now making us aware about it. But it's related to the appeal process that we're undergoing and the like. But those are they're asking for $40,000 to move from litigation reserve in the current year's budget to them, so they can go ahead and pay these expenses.
Second.
Discussion on this council.
Just wanted to make a quick point. I want to thank Councilman Dieguez for bringing this up. The reason for the $40,000 is right now I think that there's a difference of about maybe $10,000, $15,000 in difference, and this is due to the reasons that Councilman Dieguez just alluded to. In the last couple of weeks, we filed our response brief, and
we've done everything. As far as the appeal is concerned, we're just waiting for the court. And I think I told you that at the last meeting. The initial brief was filed. The county and the other defendants responded. We filed our reply brief. They filed motions for attorney's fees and costs. We responded to all of that. So as far as the appeal, the only thing I see is hopefully the court grants us oral argument, preparing for that, and if not, we wait for their decision, and depending on what the decision is, I obviously immediately meet with you and discuss future, the future course of action from there.
so the $40,000 kind of takes care of the immediate need. If there's any more bills that come in for the month of September, it takes care of that need and should take us into the next fiscal year. So that's the reason for the ask of $40,000 at the suggestion of finance.
And what happens is our firm's bills aren't in either. I don't know how much they are, but our firm's bills haven't come in either because we haven't billed for this last month. We have one more billing cycle before the end of the town's fiscal year. And I imagine the Leidecker firm, not Leidecker, the Weiss-Serota firm also has billing that's still pending as well, and I don't know how much that is.
Any further questions of our town attorneys? There's a motion and a second. Councilman Rodriguez, I see you wanting to speak. No?
No, I have nothing to add.
Got it. Any further questions? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. I had a item I put on here. It was a huge unfunded infrastructure list that staff had reported. I just wanted to make a motion to have staff research all sources of funding throughout our nation, every single nook and cranny, to see how we can possibly address current and long-term infrastructures, repairs and maintenance specifically in that list.
Second.
Discussion on this, council?
Just to say that they should always be doing that, but I'm going to support it. But again, I think that's our expectation, that they always look for whatever sources we can to fill that gap, or to rather close that gap. So.
Got it. Any further discussion, council? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. So yeah, big milestone. We officially passed our 2021-22 budget. Great job by everyone. We'll see you guys at our October council meeting. Have a good night, and this meeting is adjourned.
I wish the IT guy back there happy IT Appreciation Day for you as well, Councilman Fernandez. Happy IT Appreciation Day.